This is our planer. So we've got two planers in this shop. Actually, what they're doing is getting the thickness correct on our board. So we're bringing our fat board down to a thinner board. That measurement is going to be along the edge of the board when you're going to take that measurement for thickness of our boards. Some anatomy on this machine right here. We've got an in-feed and out-feed table. We've got a scale right here that controls how thick the board is going to be. It is controlled by two rollers underneath that are bringing your boards in and pushing them out. And then inside of here is a lot like the joiner spinning head that's using knives to shave off the face of our boards. We control with this wheel right here. We can actually change the speeds on this machine. And can I actually get you guys back up just a little bit? All you guys can back up. I said it earlier. But for the most part, it's going to be left on the one setting. Pretty much all the settings on all the machines are going to be about the same, except for the adjustment levers that I show you and point out to you. Okay? So some questions. Number one, the piece of equipment shown above will square your board. Look at the picture. What machine squares the boards? Joiner. We learned about that yesterday. So right, insert false, and right in there, joiner. Number two, as the planer dimensions a board, it removes wood from the bottom of the board. That's false. As we go here, I'll run this through a few more times in a little bit, but I'll keep this side up here with this marking right here, and we'll see that actually get planed off of the top of the board, so you can write it on top of the board. Number three, you should only remove 1/16 of an inch from your material when using the planer, or 1 revolution. That's true. It actually says it right here on this wheel, which is pretty slick. So we're never going to be going more than that. 1 revolution clockwise will get us 1/16 of an inch up. We can also see as we put our board in here, if you really zoom in and see, this pointer right here jumps up to 1/16 of an inch. That's the maximum I want you guys taking off of on this hardness. And 1/16 of an inch. So how that's written there on your notes right there is 1/16. 1/16 is the fraction. And you see those two little lines right there, the quotation marks? Okay, that represents inch right there. Number four, the in-feed adjustment should only be changed with the planer running. That's true. It actually says it on here as well. Okay. Very rare you guys will make that adjustment. Okay, but it's helpful to know because these now are at a price point where just about anybody can buy them and have them in their garage. So those of you guys that have miter saw, you enjoy woodworking, planer might be one of your next purchases. Number five, the grain direction doesn't matter when planing a board. That is false. We can go real deep into the grain direction of how it should be feathered back, but for now, I want us to remember how this oak tree was growing up in the forest was just like this. Got cut down. All right, we can see our edge grain right here, face grain. And remember that end grain is kind of the telltale. That's what you look at when you see after you cut the tree down, those growth rings. And we want to be sending these boards in with the grain. So please write in there with the grain. With the grain. Number six, you need to determine the thickness of the board before setting the planer. That's true. That's what you guys watched me do. I'm going to set this board in here until this pointer right here, this little red piece, indicates 1/16 of an inch. I can also feel that little bit of resistance as as I put the board in there, okay, that's what we're looking for. If you're not able to even push the board in at all, it's not going to get planed down. Okay, if we just put it in, and whatever random adjustment it was before, could take out a lot more material than we were expecting. It could be very hard on the motor, or if it's opened up too wide, it's not going to actually accept the board. Okay, so getting this set up is really best done with a few students with you. The first few times I'll be around here, Mr. Tripp will be around here to help you guys get it set up. All right. Then as we're planing the boards, it's not just a one and done thing. So after I sent mine through once, it got a little bit of this surface right here. But then I'm actually going to have to make that revolution again and send it through a second time to bring it down to the finished thickness that I want. Number 7, you don't need to wear closed-toed shoes when operating the planer. That's false. Remember, Crocs, Birkenstocks, slides are not considered closed-toed shoes. On Friday, when we start our practice cuts in here, I expect tennis shoes, boots, any kind of shoe that's going to cover up those toes. Okay. Number 8, the minimum length of a board is 10 inches. That's false. Please write in 12 inches. 12 inches is the minimum length on the planer. And that goes for both of them. All of this test has been written for both of these planers because they're similar enough, or we're making it so that it's the case where you don't have to remember one or the other. Questions on the front side? Yeah, Bob. 4, 3, 2, and 1? Sure. 4 is true. 3 is true. 2 is false. Top of the board. 1 is false. Jointers, where is our board? Good question. Any other questions? Number 9. The number 1 danger when using the planer is having your fingers go below the board. That's true. Our word of the day today was pinch points. And they exist on a lot of these machines, okay? And I'll show you exactly where they are on the other ones as well. But for this jointer, if my fingers are below the board right here, and that first roller pushes my board down and starts bringing the board down, bring the board into the machine, the board is actually going to pull my hand in with it. Getting smaller and smaller, squishing the hand as it goes in. Okay? It's kind of obvious not to put your hand into there. At least I hope that it's obvious. But the one thing we don't think about, because as we're holding our boards, we hold them from the bottom, right? So that kind of makes sense. But if your hand is underneath there and if it's pinched, it's going to hurt real fast. Questions on that? All right. Number 10. When running multiple boards through the planer, always use the full width of the in-feed table from left to right. That's true. So the knives on this planer right here are 13 inches long. So we've got 13 inches that we can put our board in here. I don't want us to just stick right in the middle. I want you to use separate spots of the in-feed table so that it's not dulling the blades right in the middle. That make sense? Okay, I kind of do it like, if I got a board like this, I'll flip flop every other. Go right side, turn through, rotate it, and come back in. Do the left side. Number 11. It is okay to stand directly in front of the planer in-feed table. Kickbacks never occur. That's false. So if a kickback were to occur, and by the way, they are extremely rare. It's usually someone's doing something wrong, or you got some really elaborate wood grain that's causing the wood to kick back. Okay, if a kickback were to occur, it's going to be sent this way, like this. So the position I'm telling you not to stand is right here. Not a very fun place to get kickback. All right. Take out any. So as you're using it, you Drop to the side. You'll be walking around the back of it here to collect your material. Put it back in. Stand off to the side. That's kind of how we operate. Number 12, always wear safety glasses when using the planer. That's true. Number 13, the minimum thickness to be sent through the planer is 1/2 of an inch. That's true. I've got a QR code right there if you want to see how it's possible. Because truly there isn't really a minimum thickness. Okay, it's just how high we've got this. All right. And so we can use a backer board to get smaller pieces, but it's going to be very, very rare for us to ever bring something down that thin. Now, if we have some exotic wood from your garage that we bring in and you want to lay it into your cutting board or the top of your end table, certainly we can do that, but that's when I'm going to direct you right here so that you can help get this machine prepped with the backer board so we can run it through. And then after that prep is done, I'll check it and then I'll run it with you. 14, always visually inspect the wood for nails, screws, loose knots, or any other material, metal pieces that will chip the planer blades. That's true. We'll deal with a lot of red oak in here. That's the board that I'm holding up right here is red oak. It's possible there might be a staple in the end of it. Okay, but all of them get painted at the mill. That's to help avoid bugs from crawling in. It helps identify some little lumber when you got big stacks of it. Okay, paint's got to be dry. We can't have any metal in it. Sometimes the things that you never think of are this wood is sourced in the northern part of the state. Anybody have hunting land up north or go up north to do some hunting? Okay, it could be the case. You don't hit your target and it gets impaled into a tree behind it. Okay, that's happened before where you really only discover it on machines like this and the jointer. So please be inspecting it throughout. Okay, don't just zombie mode, run the planer. I want you guys to be inspecting and looking at that wood as you're revealing more of it. Because it could be the case where it's in the exact center of this board. We don't know. But as we're using this machine, I want you to be aware that that is a possibility. It's kind of fun when that does happen. It's happened to me a couple times when you look, it's like, what is that? What is that? Well, that's a projectile right there. The other one, loose knots, okay? For the most part, we order our lumber select or better, meaning that there shouldn't be many loose knots or things like that. But it still does happen where we'll get a piece of wood that's got a great big knot. If you imagine like a rustic furniture or like a barn where you've got big knots in wood, that's what we want to avoid running through the plane. If they're loose, it could become dislodged and create a bunch of problems internally. Any other questions on 14? 15. You always send the board to the planer with the length of the board or the grain running the long ways. That's true. It is okay to stick your fingers in the openings of the planer while on or off. That's false. So please keep your hands out. There's a couple pictures right here. Warning stickers telling you to keep your hands out of it. Even with it off, I don't want our hands going. If you bump, it could have an electrical error and it turn on automatically. So we're not going to be sticking our hands underneath it. Is that very clear? 17, having the dust collection on is not that important when running this machine. That's false. It must be on. False, it must be on. Our dust collector is what all these hoses are that are running to our machine. We've got pipes going to every single machine in here for the most part. It's pretty darn cool. Helps us not have to sweep up as much. We're not breathing in as much sawdust as we would be if it was just left to fall on the ground. So our dust collector is controlled with this gray box right here. There are two buttons, green and blue. Which one do you think starts the dust collector?
Green.
actually says start right on top of it. So will you do the honors, Mr. Kirk? You hear a little hum. When we're moving in here and other machines are on, and I got the music blasted, we actually won't hear that dust collector. So if you're ever unsure if it's on, what do you think you can do? Walk over there and hit the green start button. The blue one turns it off, and really there's only a couple of kids that all train up in here how to turn it off, because it actually doesn't turn the dust collector off immediately. It stops the suction, but then it runs through a cleaning cycle where it actually vibrates and shakes all of these hoses and tubes in here, so that all that static can drop all the dust that is stuck to it, and then the next time it's fired up, that's what gets drawn out first. It's a pretty cool system. So, in recap, have the dust collector on. 18. It is okay to jump in line with a bunch of people using this machine. That's false. So what's most likely to happen, you'll have a couple of your boards, you have a couple of buddies that you're running through, or maybe some students, some people you've never met before, but they're at the same stage as you. So you're running your boards through, collecting them off the backside, you're rotating this. After everyone has put their boards through, you're running yours again, collecting them off the backside, and you're steadily working down the thickness of your board. Okay? If your best friend comes up and says, hey, I got to do that too, and starts jamming their piece into there, it's going to overload the machine. Might not even fit in there, and it'll definitely wreck the wood. So please, whoever starts with you on this machine are the ones who are going to end with you on this machine. Okay? Does that make sense? If there's a line waiting to use this machine, just sit and wait until it is your turn. That's false. We'll have our tops to create. We'll have our legs to glue up. We'll have our carcasses to cut out and mill out. Right? There'll be tons and tons of things for you guys to do on your projects. You'll never have to wait for a machine in here. Okay, we've got enough machines, now we have enough to do, so that there's really no time for us to just sit and wait for someone to be done. Okay, it's a really good thing. It's why we're doing the projects that we do, so that you guys are spaced out like this. In fact, once we wrap up practice cuts, if these three guys are the first ones done, I'll say, all right, I want you guys to start on your face frame. You'll probably be the first ones on here. Okay, and then the next three that finish their practice cut, I'll say, I want you guys to start on the tops. You'll be gluing up your panel. And the next three, I'll say, all right, I want you guys starting your carcass pieces, go and grab the plywood out of the lumberyard. Stuff like that. You're going to see the method to the madness. Maybe still just madness, but that's okay. Number 20, whenever you're using the saw, you will follow all the safety rules and instructions of the teacher in the shop. That is true. So practically speaking, this is what's going to happen. You guys are going to get board from me out of the lumberyard that's most likely 15/16 thick. Okay, that is almost 1 inch. Industry standard for cabinets, for face frames, or anything in the hardwood department is going to be 3/4 of an inch. So we're actually going to have to take off, what does that math? 3/16 of an inch. Okay, so theoretically that's only 3 times through here. All right, but that first one, I just want it to be kind of a grazing pass. I'm hitting that pointer. I'm almost up to that 16. You guys see that? My dust collector is on. It's going to get loud. All right, and if that noise does bother you, we have earbuds, those little squishy ones, next to our safety glasses, as well as the over-the-ear muff ones on the cage over there. Okay, I'm just going to run this through a few times and show you what it looks like. Take note of the markings on here. Okay, check out this S right here, the blue S. It's going to be gone after a couple times through. passes. I hit each face of the board. As I was going, I was checking for the thickness of it. I was checking for any thing in the board itself that might cause me problems. And just 3 times through, from 15/16, I'm down to 3/4 of an inch. Any final questions on the planer? Awesome. Will you hang? Not yet. Will you hang here? I'm going to do the time saver, and then we'll turn it off after the first one. Yes. All right. So the machine we're going to go to next is